Well, since everybody's talking about it, more specifically, let's talk about what's next for Starship before its next test flight. The fully reusable Starship system lifted off from Starbase, Texas on April 20th at 8:33 a.m. local time. After what appeared to be a nominal trajectory, we noticed that 6 out of 33 engines were out of commission during the ascent phase. The booster continued for another 4 minutes and eventually failed to separate from the second stage, triggering an automatic abort using the flight termination system that exploded the rocket. After the launch, damage to ground infrastructure that supported the rocket lifting off was evident. Initial analysis, according to this tweet from Elon, suggested that the force from the full thrust of the 33 Raptor engines shattered the concrete of the orbital launch mount called Fondag. So during this damaging event to the orbital launch mount, debris from the damage may have struck a couple of engines around the rocket at the T0 mark, taking out some of those engines. While we don't know the full details of the anomaly except for Twitter speculations, SpaceX at a minimum will have to redesign their orbital launch mount to be able to manage the force and the heat of 33 engines, Raptor engines, firing at full thrust. And that is where this piece of hardware comes in. A flame trench or a flame deflector system is part of the ground hardware that supports the launch and is often placed beneath the booster. These flame trenches are made up of a long opening that take the flame of the exhaust from the booster, turn them in a horizontal direction, and direct them away and allow them to exit as billows of smoke. The most obvious examples of how these flame trenches work were seen during the Space Shuttle era at Launch Complex 39A and 39B. For example, the flame trench underneath Launch Complex 39B at Kennedy Space Center, which was used during the shuttle program, was about 150 meters long, 18 meters wide, and 13 meters deep. The main part of the flame deflector that was situated inside the trench directly underneath the rocket was approximately 11.6 meters high, 17.5 meters wide, and 22 meters long. So this is a big upgrade that Fondag might get before the next launch attempt by SpaceX in a few months. On a side note, SpaceX is debating using a massive water-cooled steel plate beneath the launch mount instead of a flame deflector, but that's something I haven't looked into just yet. More on that in another video. Stay tuned. By the way, these Raptor engines aren't cheap. They cost upwards of $250,000 to make, and that's the target price, so they're probably costing a lot more. So I'm gonna have to look into that. And in the meantime, you can check out this great article by Everyday Astronaut highlighting the differences between the more complex Raptor 1 and its newer cousin, Raptor 2, which is supposed to be a lot simpler. So check out his article. After what appeared to be a nominal